Take myself off mute. That is important. And what I love about that already is there's so much voice activations that are happening. And so much of what has already begun to be cleared is really where we're having fear around using our voice and a voice clearing and voice activation. And so even the little signs of starting on mute have a much bigger meaning once we understand that we're in sacred space together and in ceremony. And so I want to welcome you here. Thank you for being a part of this 3-day mind, body, and soul spirit cleanse that is leading to an invitation to 9-month birthing portal of birthing into your whole new upgraded version of yourself that has your integrated and shadow um, integrated into you, into your being. My name is Cynthia. I am a Akashic wisdom keeper, a shamanic practitioner, and an ordained Magdalene priestess and a priestess, been mystery schools, facilitator of the Sophia Code, where I work with the divine feminine archetypes. I've worked in Venus mystery schools, Mary Magdalene mystery schools, Morgan Le Fay mystery schools, Sekhmet and Isis. I have been to Egypt and have many soul remembrances of my codes have been reclaimed there. So those would be more coming in tomorrow. But today I am really here with my shamanic hat on for the body part. And so yesterday, if you have already watched the replay for day one, then you will have already been introduced into the Akashic Records, where it was a beautiful, very light-hearted reading, where we really released the limited belief that we have to be loud to be seen and heard, which allows us to soften and listen to that still small voice of our consciousness. So if any of that is ringing a bell in you and you would like to go deeper and have not watched day one yet, I invite you to go back and watch day one. And it was a beautiful transmission that came through. The Akashic Records is also a place to really go and see the truth of what your limited beliefs are and kind of what karmically your soul path has journeyed into and what lessons are yet to be learned, and they help you learn those lessons. Today, we're going to be going into the shamanic world, and the shamanic world has a much different definition to me, and it also is a much different way of accessing this unlimited divine knowledge. And the shamanic world actually is a lot, I mean, the Akashic records are very vast, and it's a whole library database held in the fifth dimension. Whereas, going on a shamanic journey, you could literally be going to the upper world, the lower world, you could be going into absolutely anything. Already in this journey, you could go directly into each individual body part. You could go into a pain point. You could go into a thought process. You could go to, you could journey to the coronavirus. You could journey to meet your spirit guides. There's unlimited amount of potential in this state, but basically, like, the meaning is journeying into the unseen world, where you are connected, where you connect in with a spirit guide that helps you actually go between worlds to be able to retrieve information, to be able to commune with past over loved ones. And it could go into as deep as mediumship, but like it's 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 so unlimited and it's so ancient, and it's used in so many different ways. And what people call themselves a shaman and a shamanic practitioner, these are all going to be a bit unique on how people are going to define that from the lens that they're practicing or that they're using it for. And so to introduce you to my shamanic world, I had a spontaneous awakening in Copenhagen with my soul tribe, Wild Sacred Fire, and it was a sweat lodge that really woke me up, and it was the dragons that really got my attention first. And then I had like 3 months of like organic bliss when I had been beyond like rock bottom, like through that night, that dark night of the soul, and had an ecstatic, very, very ecstatic awakening. And then I started learning through shamanic practitioners how and what that meant to be what the shamanic world meant, and it first started with like how the shamanic and spirit and the scientific world really merge, because there's a lot of scientific evidence that has been done in this space. And so tonight and today, that it is not my intention to teach you about that. I just wanted to share with you what that is, a very, very, very little bit, and or my lens of it, so you understand a bit more where I'm coming from. But I have been first initiated to my ancestral healing with a shaman that I was practicing with in London. And so she was my first dragon guide. And then she walked a small group of us through activating these ancestral healing gifts and learning how to journey and meeting our guides and all of the above. And at that time, I was not really talking to my family. I've been estranged of my family. I was at peace of being estranged with my family. And so I was like, ancestral healing? Why would I do ancestral healing? Like, I don't even talk to my family. But I'm really glad I followed that yes, and I followed that curiosity, because and which is really the dragons underlying. And so I'd like to call and welcome in the dragons today, because we'll go into that. But it's been the biggest blessing. And even within, as an example of what came through at first, was like really like my depression and my suicidal ideation that I had been suffering from since. And then when she had me try to go to the origin of these suicidal ideations, I realized that I just always had them, that like I didn't know what it was like to not. And this was because this is something that has been carried from my ancestors, something that I had decided to be birthed into. If you're here and you want to do this ancestral healing, and that you're gravitated to today's call and you're gravitated to this 9-month immersion, then it's very likely that it is your ancestors that have been the one to call you here, because um, it is the ancestors that do get a lot of my attention in the spirit world, and even here on earth and within my friendships, and is really easily being getting is especially if your loved ones have not passed on yet, it is pretty easy for them to get a hold of me. I'm also an end of life nurse, and this is why end of life is still one of the areas of nursing that still resonates with me, even as I remembered and identified more as a healer, which doesn't necessarily fit into our health mainstream system as easily yet, although we have a big prayer for that. To use my healing gifts and to use my psychic gifts, I am still quite a gift in the end of life aspect. And so those are though this is like the realm, and like really the underworld is a realm that my soul is incredibly familiar with. However, I'm also very, very connected to the dragons, which creates portals and planetary and galactic and beyond. And so it like is both ends that I am very comfortable navigating in the unseen space. That is one of my greatest gifts and asset as a leader is this ability to guide you through anything unknown and retrieve these information, send, healing, communicate, and beyond. So I realize I've been holding this match without lighting and welcoming grandfather fire in. And because this is going to be a shamanically held ancestral space, I'm going to go ahead and call in all 4 directions. And it's actually all 7 directions. So first, taking a deep breath in, breathing in life force energy, pausing at the top. And deep exhale, releasing everything in that mental body, letting all your thoughts just kind of drain out. Taking another deep inhale in, and in the breath of life. Pausing at the top. And in this second out breath, allowing your body weight to drop and this breath to go into your body and releasing anything in your body. We're going to be holding any tension. Then last deep inhale in, really from the core of your being. Drawing in your true essence, your pure soul, your higher self. Pausing at the top. And really, with this release, letting your body weight drop and drop and drop until you feel fully held by Mother Earth. I'd like to now welcome in the energy and spirit guides of the north, of white, of air, calling in the winged ones, the mind, sweetgrass, calling in all the archangels, spirit guides and protectors that are coming in to protect us from the north. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And so it is. Now going into the color yellow and welcoming in east, welcoming in fire, welcoming in the sun and those sun solar codes, growth, spring, and the emotional body. Thank you, archangels, protectors, and guides that are coming in from the east. Now welcoming in the color red, south, water, the moon. We're in a full moon right now, a full strawberry moon. I hope you witnessed that last night. Really in her fullness, really ready to illuminate what it is that we have, that we are now ready to see. The energy of birth, the root chakra, passion. Thanking the guides, archangels, and protectors of the South that are coming in. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And so it is. And now welcoming in the color black in the West, the earth, the physical body. Welcoming that void creatrix, black energy, everything is birthed from the no thing. So welcoming in the West and all the archangels and protectors and spirit guides that are coming in from the West. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And so it is. Welcoming in the color blue and Father Sky as above. Welcoming in the color green and Mother Gaia, Sophia Gaia from below. And then welcoming in that color purple, which is the essence of your higher self and your soul essence, and calling that to be breathed into us now. And thanking all of those spirit guides for being present. And In addition to this, I'm also really welcoming in the energy of Mary Magdalene and Yeshua. Mary Magdalene has been really stepping forward for today's conversation. And it's 11:11 on the clock as I say this, right here in Eastern time. Um, and I that literally had like popped and highlighted on my phone, really wanting to make it obvious as she's welcoming herself in today, with Yeshua standing in the background, really taking the seat as a protector. Lilith and Eve have been energies that have also been coming in very strongly. Sekhmet and Isis and Hathor and Egyptian lineages have been coming in really strong, and really feeling Anubis and Ra, as standing back and protectors from that side. Just really forming this pyramid around us, where I'm also seeing Freya and Odin and those Nordic also anchoring us in another corner, building these triangular Merkaba grids that are going around us for protection right now. And this is what I'm witnessing as I'm speaking to you. So they're welcoming, just welcoming them into this space, where there has already been a tremendous amount of healing that has been underway, especially on the dense gravity of today's like kind of clearing and conversation with this, which is within our body. So we are not our body, right? Our body is a vehicle in which we are in right now, but we are actually like our soul within a body. And so our soul is so much bigger than what we are in this human body, and there's ways to unlock different codes and different keys and different remembrances within our body. And the effective way that I have been initiated to do this, and that my experience has awakened my gifts in me, has been through healing the trauma in my body, because our body doesn't lie. Our body knows, our body remembers where we are, and where we're still holding on to places that are still needing healed. And by the time it surfaces in our pain body, where we physically feel the pain, is literally, and another reason I'm feeling so called to wear the color red today is like alert, alert, alert. Call attention here. There's something here you need to see, feel, love, nourish, and send healing to, before it becomes even more urgent. And so, even cancer, and I've been an oncology nurse with both adult and pediatrics. Pediatric oncology is one of my very favorite hats that, and roles that I've taken on in this lifetime. And this is a very very big example of how this can be held in our body. And this is another reason where ancestral healing has really played such an important role in clearing and in my own healing work, because as I have experienced and how it has been scientifically proven, like we really have taken on, especially being in the, even in our mother's womb, those imprints have carried on in our bloodstream, in our DNA. And so things that haven't even happened to our self and our soul's journey and our karmic imprints, as we really access within the Akashic records, although you could do ancestral healing in the Akashic records too, like it's not limited, but but more often than not, that's your soul's journey, versus where I am accessing, and this is my style too. So another teacher and mentor may have a different approach, but when I approach the ancestral, it is much more what we have birthed into it within our human body. And the ancestral healing also extends from not only our blood lineage, but also our starseed lineage and beyond as well. Yeah, our blood and our bones and our star lineages. And so there's still so much opportunity to do so much healing. But the real gift of doing ancestral healing is not only are you releasing these toxins or these situations from your mind, body, and spirit, for yourself, you're also freeing the ancestors that have done this before, that weren't you that either they weren't able to break this cycle while they had the human body, so it's still somehow holding their soul back, and even possibly, and what I've been really witnessing now is it's actually even holding them, tethering them still on earth, when really, as Mother Earth is ascending, it is time for your ancestors, it is time for them to ascend, which also lightens up the planet and lightens up us and the density as we all lift and rise up together. And so it frees them. So it's still under these codes of freedom. So it's like when you even think, like what's going on right now in America, and me as an American, me and being in DC, and red being a color, I'm just really tuning into that energy of freedom and what it'd be like to free our ancestors, to free ourselves of like these generational curses, is one term that has been coined to what this is. And another thing that I wanted to mention about the ancestral healing is, it also cuts the chain going on forward to the future generations, because the lessons been learned, these codes get to be cut. So imagine these just big bolt color cut, just cutting through like these enormous chains that are now going to be setting are the future generations free from these lessons as well. And really, that is the vision of the age of the Aquarius. And what we're going into is really going into the 2000 years of peace, love, and harmony. And this path has been already created for us. And it is divine timing for us to be here. And it is an agreement that we kind of took upon and say, hey, like I am choosing to be born into this body so I could clear these things at this time, which is why I call these divine appointments, and why I so honor and thank you for being here. So, I would just also at this point, really, and only if this feels good to you, because you're never ever going to be asked to do anything that makes you uncomfortable, and you always have free will. And so when it comes to the shamanic world, and even in, like, and we're not going on a journey today, like I will be teaching in the class. I think that there's some groundworks that you would, just need to know, depending on who the experience is it isn't quite appropriate for today's call, but there already has been an enormous amount of story that I've already received on how I have been and go on the shamanic journeys to go on these healings, and taking the messages. So basically, like, I'm sorry, when I get in a trance state, it feels harder for me to talk, and I'm having a harder time actually giving you guys any material or facts right now, which is telling me that the energy wants to speak more for itself. So, a part of my training too is also guided energy medicine, which is really just aligning with that source consciousness, commanding only the highest frequencies of love and light exist. And I also pray and command, as always, that this is orchestrated by each viewer's and individual's higher self at the direct pace and calibration and amount that is perfect for them at this time, with no judgment, no pressure, and knowing that this process is slow and needs to take time. And now my conversation is not even going to be linear, because I'm going into a shamanic state of healing. And so at this point, if you want to receive this healing and this energy that is actually clearing your body from ancestral codes, generational curses, and traumas that don't necessarily need to be uh that are ready to be cleared, allowing those to be cleared. Now you would want to raise your hands in an up position and you want to say, yes, I'm willing to receive. And at any point, you're never comfortable. You're going to put your hands down or you're just going to say no. And as this healing is going through, this is an opportunity where I'm just going to be speaking to consent. And consent is really important. And it's really important to learn your yeses and your nos and being able to communicate it, especially with the extent of today's healing and the topic of it today, which is rape consciousness. And where things have been taken from us outside of free will. And so this even goes beyond, just like the very obvious sex. This actually, our energy has been harnessed and taken without free will. Like even the mind control is against our free will. And in many ways, for a very, very long time, we have been, which is why, and like it affects people's relationship with source consciousness because they're like, why does he let it go on? Because when it comes to freedom and when it comes to free will and even co-creating with source, this needs to be called back, it needs to be reclaimed, and it needs to be cleared. And that is what we're doing. And this is why it's the most rebellious thing to go ahead and go in and do your ancestral work and to go into your pain body and to go in and be the black sheep in your family that says, actually, I don't believe in doing things this way anymore. I'm gonna make my own path, is such a radical benefit to society when you have the courage to connect into that power and call your power back to yourself. Stop leaking your power, start standing in your power. Like this is where the freedom, this is where the power, this is what the invitation is, this is what's being called for, like right now. um and your consent is important in and consent and when it comes to your power particularly, and calling your power back, like even more beneficial than having to call your power back is to not leak your power to begin with. And that is going to be from knowing what you want, what you don't want, and being able to say and express and command what you are comfortable and what you're not. And, you don't always have to command. There's going to be gentle ways that you're going to be able to do it with some, and there's going to be other ways you're going to really have to be able to command and be your own advocate. And part of what they're recoding in us right now is that empowerment to trust and believe in that self-love, to put yourself first, because this is also how we're really creating that power shift to call our power back. Because you know one reason why the people in power are operating with such abuse is because um um in because it's needed that we call it back. And that is where you step in, because I don't want to say that we're inviting it to happen, because I think that it is more complicated than that. But what I am saying is our responsibility to actually like now call that back. And so we're going to actively call this back like right now. And I'm also going to teach you a method that I'm going to invite you to do after this to call your power back. And this is going to be standing in each one of the four directions with your hands out, be in that star position, and call all power back to you through all time and space and dimensions, and rotate north, east, south, and west as you turn in each one of the cardinal directions, and do that 3 times to call your power back. I am going to tell you this is the third time that I have recorded this call, and each time all the messages and all the medicine and everything has been drastically different, but all of it has been done and it's in this portal. So even though I haven't been able to have and may not even have the opportunity to speak of everything that is quite coming through, because a lot is happening so much on an energetic level, Trust the process that this is happening and that you're getting exactly what you need to receive. And it may be different in what is spoken to in in today's session. And so this consent, not only is this consent really important for us to do in our day-to-day life and every situation and at work and at home by creating these boundaries and open communication and knowing what you want yourself. We also is so important that we do this with the spirit world too. And especially, if as time goes on, within this immersion space, and even if you're within these 3 days and maybe you don't say yes to the journey, maybe it's not something you're ready for, but maybe it's something that's still calling for you. You may be still be going to some other select individual offerings that are going to be scattered throughout and still have access to the portal where you're getting exactly what you need to be receiving. Your psychic gifts are going to be opening up as you are willing, ready, and accepting and want to awaken these psychic gifts and abilities and communication channels with your ancestors. Because if the truth be told, there's so much fear and trauma, especially within our body, about using these psychic inherited gifts that we have from our ancestors. So part of the benefits of doing this healing is we get to retrieve these gifts of what happened before these gifts were lost, right? So before the witch wounds, for example, you may have ancestors within your lineage that are expert herbalists and healers and oracles and seers, and these have been suppressed and turned into what in the spiritual world we consider the shadow, and part of the illumination that's happening with the strawberry pink moon, where the moon is actually the lowest it is in the sky, which also is no accident, because this is about being in our body and descending into our body instead of escaping that trauma too. You're like feeling, you're breathing into it. You're not it's very much a trauma response to want to leave or to shy away or slow down. And this is about like being in it in full illumination of what has been hiding and what are you willing to shed light to. And if you are here in this container with me, and if you're watching this, I will tell you that what has been coming up in this ancestral healing container for that illumination is where consent has not been used in all different ways, shapes, and form, or in where we have abused and used ours. And this has really impacted our root, our not like really our lower three chakra energy centers, or depending on your energy body and in your there's more than those classical seven, but what I'm really being shown right now is the root chakra, which is really our stability and what makes us feel safe, and our anchorage, like just being able to stay here, stay present, has been incredibly severed. And so when I do that, that's like energy clearing that's coming up. But whew, there's so much energy moving, guys. And hope that if you're not following any of this conversation, it still doesn't matter because you're still receiving. So there's still so much medicine going on just from like using sticking around. If you fell asleep during this, I wouldn't be surprised either. Um did I already tell you this is my third time recording this? Yeah, it's a thing. So consent. goes all, oh, so our root chakra, our sacral chakra, which is our creatrix energy, or and where our creativity and our projects that we're birthing. I mean, really all of our creatrix and birthing energy is being has been affected by this, but also very much our solar plexus and our power center. And so a lot, my GI tract these last 3 days have been a complete mess, probably even longer. Like it just feels like bleh. And there's a lot of energy that are being channeled back through my umbilical cord that I could even feel through my back. So I just want to let you know that I do, and clairsentience is one of my stronger of my psychic abilities. And so I do feel things strongly in my body, but I also want to have you be aware that this is also a potential for you, and that and to just continue to be at peace with this process, to not attach to anything that's coming up, since this is ancestral, instead of really attaching. If you could just let this come up in a very detached way. The real key here to clear this, the fastest and the easiest way, is through forgiveness. And that will be a full day, I believe, of what is going to go on in that 9 month portal, of really even going into that energy of forgiveness and what that means, because there's still a lot of um, different um, different ideas of what that looks like, that might prevent going fully into that. And really, ultimately, the hardest person to forgive is always going to be yourself. And so I'm being invited to share a personal example of how hard I still have a relationship with my mother around low self worth and the abandonment and neglect, and like turning the other cheek and giving and giving and giving, because I have witnessed and really experienced in my young adult years the consequence of having those belief systems, and the harm that it caused me, and the very challenging lessons that I encountered in order to be able to clear that. So um uh very, a lot of us empaths, the empath and narcissism. I don't like to call anybody a narcissist because that's a label, but those traits, they're very abusive and toxic, where like I did fall into that pattern a few times before I had realized that that was an initiation into self-love, and I had to choose myself and heal and grieve from those situations. And so even though I've done ancestral healing sessions and on these things, and even though and it's an onion, it's layers, it's like, go slow, guys. I had a snail on my altar for the open house for Farah Foundation, and I was so happy about that, because especially when it does come into ancestral healing, the real message here is to go slow, right? Like, we don't have to, like, especially when I use the words that I do, which is important to be able to trigger these to come up for healing. Like, it's very painful, and I have learned how to communicate even on these stages of healing, of like, my heart, I'm extra tender today, like you would fillet meat, like be really careful. Like I'm just extra tender. Um, and you aren't forced to do anything faster than you're ready for. Red is also the color of the rose, and Mary Magdalene is a very strong presence, and she is coming in offering everybody here a red rose right now. And each one of these red roses, oh my gosh, this is so beautiful. Do you feel her? I hope you guys can. And I know I have a lot of friends that know I was raised Mormon, and that I have a lot of friends that are atheist or agnostic and have a lot of what I call Jesus wounds, and for really good reasons, and what I call Abrahamic God wounds, because I have my own things to say about that. But you may be watching this, and they're like religion is just not it for you. And so it is interesting when Mary Magdalene comes in because there's so much religious dogma that has been attached to her and her story, um, and so much soiled on her name, really. And I love that that's how it's being expressed right now, is so much soil on her name, because like she's really been rising from that lotus and above, um in like the most fertile soil. And I'm just seeing um you as her seeds, and like her prayers that she had been praying and seeding, even I'm hearing in the land of Eden and of America and of look, guys, take it for what it is, the land of Oz even. um uh, this is for us to interpret as it resonates with your own heart and your own truth. And I'm seeing us um like now as emerged like from the soil as these little sprouts, as a continuation of like what has been fertilized from all of the trauma that has been survived for so long, and the resilience and power that we're able to reclaim through the process. So while there is so much rage and grief and expressions to be felt, and since even coming up with I mean, even with just today's session, which um how like and part of my one-on-one ancestral healing sessions and what might be to be expected in the 9-month portal is very much actually going on that journey to witness where the core of whatever it is began, and to send loving and witnessing to it. And it does often involve me needing to voice that, needing to feel that, and feeling like them around, and letting that grief and sorrow up. So this isn't for the weak in heart, because just like we can't just go ahead and spiritual bypass from our emotions, like a lot really does need to be seen, witnessed, and felt. And if you're called to this path, I really admire you for being able to go to the depths to be able to do that. And in doing so, um release it from our body. And then that second session is really about bringing in the gifts that they have. And so so right now I'm just as just quite a bit of energy medicine that's coming through around our heart and our voice right now. And I know I am having some ringing in my ears right now. And so remaining detached, and knowing that this isn't yours, that this, like, especially this is not about detaching from your body by any means. In fact, so much of this and the body session is going to be that underworld journey, and descending into your body and feeling the feels. But in this case, and still, even as like I'm seeing this as a turtle shell. So right now, what the vision that they're actually giving me is a turtle shell that's being unlayered, like and completely buffed. But it's I do have a snake skin behind me, guys, and that's a snake skin that I received. I was like, earlier this week, I was shedding like or I guess it's been a couple of weeks, I was shedding like a snake, and I was like, oh my gosh. And I was also remembering how much is actually happening, like recognizing how much is manifesting in the tangible world, being that the shamanic world is the world of the unseen world, like how much actually appears and manifests into real form. And that snake skin again is an example of that, because that snake skin behind me immediately appeared on in front of my doorstep, like right after, like literally within like minutes of that conversation. So instead of snake, I'm seeing this as the turtle, and the turtle really does remind me of of Mother Earth. The turtle, just like the snake, their bellies touch the earth, and the shell is is an extension of its home. And like so much of my journey, and a lot of this is even Burning Man. Like this beast is being made for love burn and constellation, which are Burning Man events, which have been a huge part of my awakening experience. Debatable as that is to those that haven't experienced the burn or have had different experiences at the burn. Um, it has been monumental to my growth, and I'm seeing this turtle being and the just I'm being called back into this turtle and the 13 um squares and shells. The sacred geometry of the turtle is, and the third also goes around with the moon cycle and the number of the goddess. We've got like 10 more minutes. I'm in such a trance right now. I'm just gonna not use words for a minute. As our turtle shell is being upgraded. So you might be feeling this like in your back area because I'm starting to feel this along my spine. And know that this could continue even like be on the call and while you're sleeping. Um, if you do ever have any questions or concerns, then you could um, I have my comment section turned on, so I'm seeing and receiving the comments, and also just know and trust that you're being very divinely protected, guided, and supported at this time. And that's what I want to say. So, as a living example and embodiment, and now talking about the consciousness that is being cleared today, and the only reason why I'm not using the word more isn't because I'm shying away from it, but because I want this message out and heard, and I don't want to be shadow banned for using it. But I know you could hear it, and I know you know it. And so, um, in day one, I talked about being in the cabin in Vermont, and there was that brook with the forest, and there was the where the wild things are that were bringing in different soul aspects of myself, right? And how much that looked like the glass shards. And when Vito was talking about the 13-man beast that he is building and creating, why I was like, oh my gosh, you're like, that's what I envisioned. You're making what I was seeing too. One of the first days was like a little tiger, and this was even in my with Patricia Wald Hawkins in my Voices of Gaia mystery school. And so very small intimate group of us and end up in some of these really strong alchemical containers, and it's great because of the depth that we're able to go in these smaller groups. And so I do um appreciate these smaller containers, which is going to be this 9 month immersion as well, where we'll be able to connect at this level. Um, because one of them was like a little tiger, but it couldn't like it was too young. It couldn't meow, it couldn't, and so a big shadow overtook it, and I just saw it, and it came with terrible amount of feelings and memories and soul body, even shaking and convulsions that happened with that one coming in. But the biggest thing is, uh how could I promise her that that wasn't going to happen again? Because as we bring in these different soul aspects of ourselves, we're going to feel and we're going to remember, and some of them we're going to even have to convince, right? Because they know what they survived and we've been suppressing it. And so, like, as we're welcoming all of these different aspects and different places and people back home, it it's important to also like feel into what they need to feel safe. And in this case, even for me to feel safe welcoming her back was like, how am I going to guarantee that what happened to her isn't going to happen again or happen to anybody else? And at that time is another example of it when I was filled in with that immense strength, and where I was like, wow, we're creating a monster here, we're creating a beast, because like I was promised that I had enough power in just my pinky finger to flick off anybody that was trying to harm any innocent women and children. And I have been, and now I'm on YouTube announcing that like I've been a single traveling woman. And when I check into hotels and they're like, oh, it is safe for women here. And I'm just like, well, first of all, I never even assumed it wasn't safe for me, because like I do feel that protected. And because there is a ferocity that will come over to anybody that tries to do anything to me or harm me in any way. And that and it's not actually me that they have to be scared of. I actually don't have to do anything. I am call in that protection, and I'm calling in that protection for you, and I'm calling you in to call in for protection every day, especially if this is something that is very alarming to you and you're like, I'm not there yet, Cindy. I don't believe it. Like, how do I know? I can't promise her that this isn't, or him, or it is gonna be able to protect. Call in the support. I call in protection all the time, and when I forget to call in protection, I'm remembering and reminded to call in protection. And so just take those as reminders and still feel safe, but say, okay, I need more protection, and that's literally all you have to do. And then call in the white light of white light that banishes all darkness. um where I do have my green Tara here, and she's been talking like crazy, and I'm like noticing, this white light that she's just piercing, the white light that pierces all darkness, where all anything outside of love just can't exist. And I'm presencing the white light that pierces all darkness right now to be in this space and to cleanse this space. Om tare tu tare ture soha. 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 And now just like gentling that in by calling in Kuan Yin's mantra, which in seeing this waterfall of compassion just flooding over us now, and just rinsing us in this love. Om Mani Padme Hum. 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 We are that powerful. All of us are. And we're all that protected. All we have to do is call and ask it in. And you don't have to know. I know it's intimidating sometimes. There's so many different avenues and aspects and modalities, and we're all at such different levels. And some of us are articulating it better than others, and some of it sticks in our mental bodies, and sometimes it doesn't. And I know I pull from a lot of different lineages, as I've done so much work, but you don't have to know. You don't have to know all the answers, and you don't have to have it all figured out. um if you got anything out of today's session, um, know, and allow, yourself to be cleansed in a non-attached way and trust the process. Um, and send love and forgiveness and compassion to all those before that have gotten us here. And I just want to just send an outreach of love to all of our ancestors right now and to all of those on our lands, giving thanks to the land for the ceremony to take place, thanking all those that have been on this land before, and sending this healing out to them, even those that have crossed beyond the veil and waiting to cross over, to send this light out, to send all of these spirits and ancestors back home. And I hope you get out of the energy hygiene and how important it is to cleanse your energy all the time, especially if you are an empath and intuitive, and to make it a daily ritual of calling your power back to yourself. You really can't do it too much. Um, And if at any moment you feel like you are being drained of any energy, immediately presence that white light of all darkness and call your power back. You are stronger, and your free will is yours, and your freedom is yours. And these are your divine birthrights. Your power, your strength, your creativity, your security, your abundance. These are all yours. These are all your birthrights. And so reclaim that for yourself right now. Say, I reclaim my birthright. I take my power back. Repeat this after me. And I forgive. And do forgive, like, because it's not about allowing it to happen to yourself again, because the lesson's been learned and your boundaries have strengthened and you know what to do now. So it's not going to happen again. But holding on to the regret and the resentment and not forgiving yourself for what happened, not forgiving, because that's a part of the forgiveness, right? Even forgiving, if something happened to you, it puts you in a wounded space, and from that wounded space you hurt the person that you love most, and now it's turned into this huge tumbleweed of stuff. That's why getting to the root of these things are so important, because it gets to take all of that out from the very beginning of it. And so don't try to hold on to some of those bits in between that just need to get rinsed off with that full package. um and let it all go, because it's heavy. It's too heavy. And I could affirm with you how dense this, and how much is actually actively going on in my awareness and in my body and in my surroundings, and experiences in the world right now, to be able to begin clearing um some of these energies out. And I know we are now at an hour, so it's about time for me to close this container up for today. But I want you to take a moment to just breathe that in, and breathe in this life force, and breathe in this love. And I'm going to attach a playlist in the comment section. There's an area that it lets me put a playlist in, and in that playlist has charged energy medicine that I have made and actually used my mediumship shamanic gifts to channel through. Like, it's very similar to Reiki, but it's guided energy medicine that's exactly on this topic of free will, and calling our power back and cleansing ourselves from energies that have taken without our consent and without force. And that is going to be in the comments, and be aware that this really has been a full body cleanse. Like right now they're really active in my throat and heart again, but like it's also been along my spine, it's also been in my womb, it's been in my solar plexus is going wild. So like if you are experience different things in your body, breathe into it, send them love, and just stay detached, and let it clear, and know, and ask yourself and follow through with what would nourish you most at this time, and also find peace and solace that you're not doing it alone anymore. Like we found each other, we're here together. We're all coming together now with all these different gifts and all these different modalities to share, to add grace to this process. I want you to know that when it comes to this topic, and when it comes to this level of ancestral healing that we're embarking on together, that this is something that we get to go slow at our own pace. And I uh, did get sidetracked with the rose, but each rose has its thorn. And the rose that we were handed by Mother Mary today is this beautiful red rose with this really long stem. And the stem has very, very, very sharp thorns. And I also have below me on my altar too these porcupine quills, and porcupine medicine is going to be a medicine that is going to be coming into the container. And this is going to come in, like this is going to come in many ways. So don't worry about missing the porcupine medicine. But through working with the porcupine medicine in Vermont too, I also realized that the pokiness was meant to protect us, but the porcupine has been reclaiming and holding our divine innocence that can never be lost, or taken. And it had been lonely and isolating, you know, journey for the porcupine to hold on to that because of the pokiness of protection. And so when it comes to this forgivingness, it is going to be forgiving yourself for what you have needed to do to protect yourself up until this point as well. Because I know part of my eclipse, this third eclipse portal, was to have to like look and identify how like my protection mechanisms were exactly what was preventing intimacy and closeness in my relationships, and was also causing very toxic traits to exhibit in my relationships with those that I love the most. And the hardest and most dense energy for me to clear was that regret, and that like, oh my goodness, because at that point when you're in that state where only love exists and where you have and forgive, it's just like, oh no, I just want them to know that love is all that's real. And it becomes easier to let these things go, but the resentment, I mean the regret within your own self, was the hardest initiation for me. And so really love yourself and release yourself from even the guilt that of. And I just want you to know that you're not alone. I am a survivor, and I'm also aware that if you're hearing this, that if you are having memories resurface, you're not alone. And if those fears of not being protective, of the rage of not feeling protected, um, I want to validate those feelings for you, because for what I believe is impacting each and every one of us listening to the call is, we not only were we not protective, but we have been betrayed from those that were meant to protect us and trust us the most. And that is a very dense energy of deception that is also a part of the clearing work that Mary Magdalene and Sekhmet and Hathor and Isis's twin sister and Frey and Odin are really offering us. And those are just the three lineages that I'm seeing. But if you have any that are coming for you, um, know and believe and trust that they're there, and know that you don't have to have a relationship with any of these energies to call them in for their protection. And whoever it is that feels comfortable for you, um or just call in protection without any names, they will be there. Um, but I'm also, really visualizing and seeing, and each one of us receiving a grandmother dragon guide that is really going to be nourishing and loving our inner child through this, because this is a very vulnerable and very dense um topic and energy to be on, especially for just like a 1 hour um YouTube live. And one of the reasons why it was still able to come forth in such strength is because of the presence, because of the protection, and because you're not alone on this journey. Okay, you've got humans, and you've got a spirit team that's assigned to you now to really help you move through anything it is that you have to move through to get this cleared. And if this has been something that you have felt, or you feel triggered by, I do strongly suggest and invite you, and I would love and welcome you into our 9 month immersion, where in those 3 months we're going to be able to really love and nourish our inner child and receive a bunch of soul different aspects that have been held safe for us in the underworld, and return these parts back home. um and it's going to be a beautiful process, but it does take clearing work for things to come back in. And I don't like to sugarcoat how intense um these initiations can really feel and be. And so I really look forward to having this strong container. It is 1:11 on the clock again, but now with 5:1. So I am going to take this as my sign to um really begin to close this container, and thanks the guides, guardians, and archangels and spirit team and dragons that have been part of today's healing and collaboration. Um and asking all the that this unfold to completion at exactly the right time for every each and one of us watching this call, no matter when they watch outside of time and space. And we're asking for those guides and guardians and ancestors that are wholly healed and well and love unconditionally at 100%. They have nothing that they need from us, but are only here to help, and invite them to stay and nourish and to receive their medicine for as long as is optimal at this time. And allowing you to sit in this space even after I get off the call, while you're still very connected to the ancestors and to this grandmother dragon figure that just wants to read your inner child these beautiful children books and give unconditional love to, and eat tons of ice cream with. And when it comes to the shamanic world, just know, especially after yesterday, and why it was so important to clear the mental body and the imagination, is because, and why it was so beneficial to meet other shamanic um practitioners or believers, or whatever you want to call them, because it is real. And what has been made to be quote unquote our imagination and just make believe. When I found out that, like, when I saw the twig, and the twig like this looked like a snake, and that was really a snake, in the unseen world communicating with me, and that is what was real. It really does mess with your whole scale of reality. And um I invite you just to open your mind to these unlimited possibilities, and especially if it's something that you've already known, or if you're at a point where you've already tried everything else, and you just know there's something more out there for you, or if like you know there's something else but you just haven't grasped out why, and like the other things and different lineages and religion and stuff just doesn't work, but like you know that there is more, and you know that there's a way to communicate beyond the veils, and you're interested in learning more about that, and developing those gifts, um then the first step that would want to happen again, that you're going to consent to. And remember, with the spirit world, you're always consenting, you're always asking. If a guide is not asking your permission, they're not a guide you want to be working with, and you want to ask them if they love you unconditionally, and if they don't, they need to go. And don't be afraid to use the white light that banishes all darkness, because only illusions won't be able to live in the presence of that white light, and anything outside of love isn't real. And I know that to be true. And that's the biggest message. And that's why so much of this, and especially when it comes to the ancestral healing, and our body and our trauma, it's not us. It's not real. And yes, it is real. And that is our, yeah, in a way, this is our mission, right? Like, I know this is my mission. So if this is your mission to help clear out this ancestral clutter, then let's do it. And I would love to hear how you do it. So thank you so much. Thank you for being here today. I'm sorry that I ran over, and I'm sorry that this is um, going live so late. However, I was there on Zoom at 8 o'clock last night, and those that were there live were there, and got recorded again, and each one of those did go through. But what I believe is you didn't need to know. And I think that's part of the protection. But because I've known and I've seen, and I'm not feeling called to go into details of the journeys that I've been on doing this for us now. But if you are having things arise within you, know that you're not alone, and that it's being witnessed, and reach out if you need any further support. I love you. You are loved. You are cherished. You are invincibly innocent. And I cannot wait to meet your inner child in a more intimate container, and have play dates, and reclaim all of our power and all of our innocence, and all of our sovereignty, as the most rebellious act we could ever do. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And so it is. And Lakesh, I am you. You are